first of all, for being here, and thank you for the blessings of just want to kind of be able to share, give a little testimony about inspired blessings led by God to inspire the world with love, faith, and hope. Talk about taking a leap of faith. Okay, I was walking in the parking lot. You probably will know Me Farm's parking lot. And so all of a sudden I heard, do the book. And I was like, you're right, that makes sense, and so on. And I took a leap of faith, and I decided to self-publish it. And a year later, the book was done. Okay, what the book is about is how, first of all, God blessed me to be an inspirational writer. I've never had any formal experience in writing, didn't go to college, and so with it, I decided, where God really decided to have me to write about the experiences of how He, blessed me to be an inspirational writer. Now, in addition to that is, I intertwine it with also how I was abandoned, left 2 days old in a bathroom in Seoul, Korea. And that's where, beginning of my life started. And so I talk about the blessings and the obstacles of that, because, we know that that could be a traumatic experience for a lot of people. And, what I've seen sometimes is hearing from adopted families and how their adopted child can't live the future because of their past. And, so I chose, through God's grace, is to, just live from here on, rather than looking at my past, because then I'm not going to really end up living my future. So I talk about the blessings and the obstacles with that, and sometimes with the different things happening in, I hate to say, with kids becoming bullies, okay, being made fun of and things like that. I mean, I myself, growing up Asian, I was the second or third Asian in school. And so I used to come home crying a lot because I used to be made fun of for being different, for being the minority. And so I would, say to my mother, I want to have an operation to look American. You know what I'm saying? That's because, I hate to say, kids could be hard on each other. Yeah. And so, we see a lot of different things happen with the Columbine High School, and I mean, there's all these different things that happen in life. And so I talk about the different, trials that I've come across, and the blessings, of course, of feeling loved by a family who just took me as their own. And Irish mother, Italian father, and 4 instant brothers.
How many?
4. Yeah. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And I was also the youngest as well, okay? So, of course they were there, and they accepted me like their little sister, and I know the fact that they'll always be there to protect me as well. And then I also, God in the past had actually, and the way my story starts out is in 1998, I was laying in bed with my kids, and all of a sudden I started singing. And I said, let me write down what I'm singing. And that morning, I just wrote down little 5 short prayer songs. And little did I know, but that was the birth of Inspired Blessings. And from there on, God had blessed me with over 100 different inspirations. And the topics range from your lighthearted topics to deep pondering topics. But also, I put 40 of them in the book, and I put who inspired me, what circumstances inspired me to write that inspiration. All right, and then I also write about 14 different people, and I put their true stories in the book. And I put, like a girl who had a brain tumor, and a mother who wanted to desperately have children but couldn't have children, but how God ends up blessing her. So writing this book, what I realized is that how much God loves us. And by His grace, how sometimes we can get through our trials. Because a lot of times, and still, just because I wrote a book does not mean that I have a perfect life, because my life isn't perfect. I've got trials that I'm still going through and things like that. But it's by His grace that He lets me get through another day. And so I really feel that I was, that God had led me. Inspired Blessings, led by God to inspire the world with love, faith, and hope, because He knows that a lot of people need to have hope these days. And as we know, the fact that we see so many people, you know, losing their job, or finding out that they get cancer, or, you know, just losing a loved one. And so through this book, you know, the tagline of it is keep inspired blessings within arm's reach to help give you comfort when others are at a loss for words. And so let me actually share an inspiration here. And it's actually, I guess you would say, faith being tested, because I think these days there's so many things that our faith is being tested. And you know, so what I tried to do is kind of give you a little bit of information before the inspiration, so you kind of understand where that inspiration came from. How many of us feel right now that our faith is being tested? That is how I felt when I wrote this. By no means is my test over yet. I keep praying for God to bring my trial to a conclusion, but I realize that my timing is not God's timing. At times I was angry with God for putting me in a situation over which I had no control. I wish I could deal with trials maintaining 100% trust in God, but what I realize is that I am human and that God does not expect that from me. So He gives me His grace to strengthen me when the spiritual battle becomes too much to bear. So this inspiration is faith being tested. When a trial comes into your life as an unexpected guest, do you really have the faith to believe and to endure the test? Your faith will be tested in ways that seem unimaginable. At times, it is even harder to comprehend the meaning of it. Your mind is confused, trying to analyze everything that is unknown, wondering if you can stop the test, realizing that your faith is weak. You are not expected to do it all by yourself. Don't let pride make you fail. God allows trials to happen in your life to see if you are willing to grow. His timing may not be on your calendar, but it was on His before you were born. He's waiting for you to call out His name so you can receive His power, and He will strengthen you in your trial with His love and grace. Then you will see miracles in your life that seem impossible for man. Your faith is tested to see if you have the conviction to believe. Faith is invisible to the eyes, and it is not always easy to have. But with God's power, it becomes real for all who know that God can make all things possible. He knows what our heart desires, and there is nothing that is kept secret from Him, because we are His children. Take the time to see the greater purpose of your trial by being patient and waiting upon the Lord for the blessings that He will give you, because you really did have the faith to believe. And you know, sometimes, like I say, is that when we're going through trials in our lives, it's you know, your faith is being tested, because of the fact that also when you pray for patience, you don't want to pray for patience, because God's going to test your patience, you know, and make that trial even last a lot longer to see if you got the patience to believe. But you know, but the thing is that God loves us, and He just wants you to know, you know, just call upon Him, and He's there, and He's real. If somebody would have said to me, you know, Jean Marie, you're going to write a book with all these different 4 themes, and you're going to intertwine them, I would have said, absolutely impossible. But my book, the first page, it says here, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. And that is what He has, you know, shown me, because of the fact that this actually came together, and it's actually real. And you know, like on the one hand, I don't know, sometimes, you know, there are people that say, you know what, I don't believe that God spoke to you, but I know what I heard, and I know I heard do the book, and I know the name of the company, and I talk about it in the book as well, was where a girlfriend of mine, I called her up and I was trying to think of the name of the company and what should I name, you know, the company, should I name it True Blessings? And she was like, yeah, that sounds good. I still wasn't sure, so I'm stepping in the shower and I'm like, what should I name it? The next thing, with feeling and sound from the middle of the chest and out of my mouth comes Inspired Blessings. And I was like, you're right. And that's perfect. So what I realized, you know, is that, you know, when God speaks to me, is that I answer back. God will speak to each of us if you ask Him, but it's going to be in different ways. You know, it's not always going to be the same, because everybody's situation is different.
He does it His way.
Exactly. You know, sometimes, you know, we want it done our way. But it's funny, because then on the other hand, is I talk about God had told us in the Bible that He gives different people different talents or different, gifts. And there's this lady that I talk about in the in here, in which she, Linda, okay, and she's got the gift of prophecy. So when I shared my first inspiration to her, probably was like 1998, actually, when this first came about, and I gave her like about 5 or 10 of them. I forget, maybe I think it was 5. So as she's reading it, she goes, "Jimmy, I just got a prophecy." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "You're going to be writing a book. You're going to be speaking at different places. You're going to be writing a book. You're going to be doing some kind of a movie, and also the fact that you're going to be speaking at different places about it." I'm like, "You kidding me, right?" And I started laughing at her because I'm like, "Oh my goodness, the possibility of that ever coming true? Never." That's the way I looked at it, because I mentioned in my book how English is my worst subject. I always struggled in school. I was just an average, maybe below average sometimes, with school. It was always very challenging for me. So to think that I could to write a book and everything, but what I'm saying is the fact that, it came true. And it's really funny because on the other hand too is, I had given her 3 inspirations over time, and in which she, always tells me, "Jimmy, I always read your inspirations every single day because it inspires me and encourages me and things like that." And so I haven't spoken to her in a while. I end up calling her one day because, actually, when I got the revelation that I was supposed to do the book, and I'm like, "Hey, Linda," I said, "I feel like God wanted me to tell you something, but He told me to write the book." She goes, "Jimmy, you're not going to believe it." I said, "What?" She goes, "Well, just the day before, you know how we told you we should read your inspirations every day?" And I said, "Yes." So what happens is she ends up reading my inspirations, and she ends up saying to God, "God, I don't understand. You gave me this revelation, that this vision, and nothing ever became of it. Whatever happened?" The next day, I'm like, "Hey, Linda, I feel like God wanted me to tell you something. I'm going to be writing the book." So if anything, it's just amazing how God does it. And so, what I want people to get from this book is I want people to understand that God is real. And you know what? We weren't just by accident that we appeared. We were designed for a purpose that that God created us and made us appear. And so He just wants everybody to know that He's there, and that He wants you to to really truly believe in Him, and to believe in His Son Jesus, whom He sent to die for us. Because without Him, we would have no hope. Okay, no hope that we could be with Him in heaven. And heaven and hell is a real place. And like I say in this book, is that in the Bible, there's more talk of hell than heaven. That's because God doesn't want you to go there. And so us living on this world is just only a temporary. It's almost just a blink of an eye to infinity. And so the thing is that He wants us to prepare and to be with Him, but He wants us to believe in that He sent His Son to die for us, and that we are sinners. Writing this book has made me realize, oh my goodness, how imperfect I am. Growing up, I thought I was perfect. I thought I was perfect because you know what? I was so obedient to my mother. I would do whatever she told me to do. I didn't smoke, didn't curse. So I thought I was being what I was supposed to be. And I actually, when I was growing up, I went to church every weekend. I believed in God because I was told to believe in God. But did I really believe in God? I don't. Now that I see it, no, I didn't. I believed in God because I was told to believe in God. And so what had happened was I had started to go into the Bible study and everything, and I asked a lot of questions. And so it ended up that, through it, I just realized the fact that, oh my goodness, it just became that distinct that Jesus is real, and that everything, it was so black and white to me. And so that's why I just feel that I'm supposed to be sharing the good news of what He did for us. And that I want, everybody to see everybody in heaven, because He really chooses for all to come with Him, but but all aren't going to choose to be with Him. So if through this book, if I can, ask people to read it with an open mind, okay, and for them to read it from the beginning to the end, because it's all intertwined, and so it's you know, so I hope the fact that people would be inspired, and that it would give them love when they don't feel loved, or it would give them faith if they don't have faith, and it would give them hope that God can change the situation that you're in. Okay, so I want to thank everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you, and I appreciate it. God bless.
It's a nice presentation.
Thank you.